Hey podcast people, I have a special episode for you today. Thanks for letting me take a little hiatus. I have prepared a couple episodes ready to go, and I'm getting back into a routine. We also have this nice, awesome neon sign, so I guess this ushers in a new season of Trust God Bro. So these have been recorded back in July and a little bit later. So my hair was a little bit longer then, and it's kind of funny. But in this episode, I think you'll learn a little bit behind the heart of obedience. And so Kara, in the episode, she is in Thailand right now, actually, on her second mission with YWAM. So, yeah, I think when you look at her life, you can see that a lot of people in Christian circles can have a lot of conversation about what we should do, and that's great. Theology, is great. And then, but really with her life, she goes out and she follows God. And there are currently 3.3 billion unreached people groups. So an unreached people group would be someone that doesn't have access to the Bible or a Christian witness. A person that may not know Jesus, but they might have a Christian neighbor that lives next to them. That would be a reached person. But there are people groups that don't even have a person that speaks their language that's a Christian, not even the ability to become a Christian. Even if they wanted to hear, there is no one there that could tell them. So that's a little bit of where the background was. I was at a training, a week training on just learning about unreached people groups in Georgia during this time. You'll learn a little bit about how God's heart has always been for all people groups to know Him, like Jew, Gentile. God wants everyone to know Him, that He is reconciling all people back together, all nations. In heaven, it won't be, just one people, but it'll be many people, many nations again. So I hope you're really blessed by this episode, and I'm excited to start doing more episodes. And please send in more ideas, and please enjoy.
I don't know whether you can hear me or not. Maybe some of what I'm saying will echo through.
Welcome back to Trust God Bro, episode 54.
We're in Georgia.
Georgia, land of the peaches.
Are we in Peachtree? Right?
Peachtree City.
Is that where we're
at? That's
at?
right, land of the free, home of the brave. What's been the most shocking thing about Georgia that you didn't know?
That I didn't know. I don't know. The most cool thing is everyone's accents here are very, very fun.
Yeah.
They make me happy.
It is. Like that guy we met at the orchard. What was the orchard experience?
The orchard experience was great. We got to eat lots of fresh peaches. Yeah. And then we got peach ice cream, which was topped it off for sure.
Peach ice cream. Yeah.
Did you like the peach orchard?
Just the fact of going out and picking your fresh peaches. Who are you, Kara? What is your passion? Just to give us a little flavor of what you're like, where you at in life right now.
Yeah, so I'm Kara Bloomgren. I'm 19 years old. I'm from Leicester, Iowa is my hometown.
Leicester.
So, yeah.
If you know, you know.
I actually live in a town called Elvord, and the population's 190. So even smaller than Leicester is where my house is. So that's cool. But a little about me, I guess I graduated high school a year ago, and after high school, I've had a heart for missions ever since I was 11. And so, my family took a missions trip down to Magdalena to visit another church family, and that's where I was after that, I was that's all I want to do with my life is missions, serve God, but didn't know what it would look like, of course, because I was just 11 and just having big dreams, and those big dreams stuck with me throughout all of high school. And after I graduated, I started looking into missions opportunities, and opportunity came up with YWAM. So I just finished my discipleship training school with YWAM a month ago. And I don't really know.
No, that's cool. What was the quote? Do what you love for who you love?
Yeah. Do what you love for the one you love.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Do what you love for the one you love.
Yeah.
So I feel like that kind of incorporates what you're about
And yeah, I feel like I've been really encouraged. So I met Kara through a group called Learn and Discern, which is like a Harvest Call group that talks about learning about calling and missions and what that looks like in our lives, and discerning that, with other people, like, how can we do that in our daily lives, and are there things that I'm called to do. And let's do a little bit more deep dive into life of Kara. I'm going to have a bunch of questions and just rapid fire, and you can just answer, okay?
Okay.
You ready?
Let's do this.
Okay. If you could fly anywhere, where would you fly to?
Papua New Guinea.
Your favorite snack?
Popcorners.
What's that?
They're like a popcorn chip.
Uh-huh.
Kettle corn flavor.
Huh.
You've never had them?
Maybe.
Wow. They're in a red bag. You
Okay.
should go get them at a grocery store.
Are they better than Dots Pretzels?
For sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Favorite job you've ever worked?
At the nursing home doing activities.
Not the thrift store?
No, I mean, like, I just like the social, like, interaction of...
Let's get in the topic a little bit. And so you said Papua New Guinea. Why would you want to travel to Papua New Guinea? What's in Papua New Guinea?
The reason I want to go to Papua New Guinea is so that's where I got sent on my DTS, outreach portion of my DTS. We went to Papua New Guinea. Everything about Papua New Guinea was just amazing. I feel like the people there are definitely, like, just have time for you, and, like, yeah, it just felt like right when you met them, they were already, like, considering you family and stuff, so that was pretty awesome. The work we did there, definitely, like, I think when I was in Papua New Guinea, my relationship with Jesus was the best it's ever been, and, like, I don't know, our DTS theme was, like, soaring with purpose, and so, like, when I was there, I felt like I was soaring with purpose finally, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and to give some context too, like, so YWAM does, like, a time of, like, prep and like training, discipleship, and then you go out and do you go somewhere, and so you had the choice. Oh, actually, you didn't have the choice. They kind of told you where you're going, but you ended up going there. So how did that work out? Like, how did you find out? Did you want to go?
Yeah, good question. So with our DTS, we didn't find out until like the third week of lecture phase, and the way they did it is they did the scavenger hunt type thing.
Wow.
And so half of our team, or half of our school, our school was 16 students in total from all over the country, just to give you like a little bit of back information. We had 2 students from Brazil, and 1 from Germany, and 1 from England. So like all over the place, all coming together.
That's crazy.
So yeah, us students all split up in 2 teams, and then went around looking for clues and stuff of what our country or the countries we were going to be sent to. And then we all met at the prayer chapel for an hour, and we all just took time alone with God, praying about which location. So the one group brought Papua New Guinea was going to be that outreach location, and our team found out Albania was going to be the other option. And when I found out Albania, I was just this isn't really where I want to go, but we'll see what the other option is. And so then got to the prayer chapel, the other team said Papua New Guinea, and my heart instantly was just oh my goodness. I literally started crying because I was just wow, God is allowing me the opportunity to go to this place. And I guess reason why is so I was at Ignite a year ago. Heard about Papua New Guinea for the first time. There was a couple from our church, I guess, who came, and Nathan and Rachel Mueller are their names. But anyways, he shared his whole life story and testimony about Papua New Guinea, and I was just wow, that is where I want to go be a missionary at. Randomly said that to one of my friends sitting by me, and little did I know a year later God would open the door for me to get to go to Papua New Guinea and be a missionary for 2 months. But, so that's kind of, how that all worked out.
Yeah, no, it's cool. How those 2 desires aligned, and
I guess one of the Bible verses that it just makes me think of is delight yourself in the Lord, and He'll give you the desires of your heart.
Yeah.
But definitely,
That's so true.
Long season of delighting in the Lord, and then I got to go to Papua New Guinea, and still delighting in the Lord, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool. Looking at your heart, and for the lost and people that don't know Jesus, how did that do you feel like that's something you had to cultivate? Is that something that you've always had a desire for? Was there a scripture that kind of played a role with that, or what did that look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like I have, well, ever since I was 11 and like went to Mexico is when I like first like seen the idea of like, you know, serving other people and like seen like that happening in Mexico, like them putting like their desire to like do whatever they wanted to do, you know, and like really like seeing like, okay, God, like where do you want me? And then they were in Mexico and like they left like, because the couple who we went to visit left our home church and went there to serve. And so I think that like as an 11-year-old, it really just like struck me and like made me realize like, wow, like they really love God and like are following God, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I definitely went through like a phase of where I wasn't following God in between that and then decided to like give my life to the Lord at 15. And I feel like, I don't know if there's, not necessarily a certain verse or anything that has like stuck with me, but just like seeing how like Jesus has like, he came to serve and not to like be served has really just made me, I don't know, realize that that's all I want to do is like serve others. And I realized like it could look different for everybody. Like it's not like everybody's gonna be a missionary.
Yeah.
But I do think that everyone, wherever they are, can be a missionary in like some sense. And
Yes. Yeah.
so it's like, it definitely has like grown me. And even like in my time when I've been back at home and stuff, just like realizing that I have a chance to like, be serving wherever I'm located at, and I don't have to go to Papua New Guinea.
Yeah.
Because there's work to be done everywhere, and everyone needs Jesus. And sometimes it's easier to look at like leaving the country to tell others about Jesus seems like, I don't know, the better option, not the better option, the easier option, because when you're home, it's like easier to get in your comfort zone, I feel like.
Yeah, I think you said a lot of truth, and I think one of the things I'm going to pull out from like the what you've been saying is like just like the obedience behind what you're talking about is like, as a Christian, it's not just the head knowledge, but it's also the heart knowledge. So like as you learn things, it's about like going and doing those things and like what Jesus commands us to do. Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of like, what makes, a believer, like when you do those together, it like helps you grow. You can't have one or the other, but you have to have both. And so. For sure.
Yeah. And I definitely, YWAM's motto is like to know God and make God known. And I feel like that's like what every believer should live by, is just like, I don't know, taking time to like really know who God is and get to know him for yourself before you like share him with others. But be sharing him with others like throughout the journey too, because you're never going to fully know God.
Papua New Guinea, you're all excited, you got the pre-flight jitters and you're hopping on the plane. I think also in perspective, what you said was really good too, of saying that like going on an airplane doesn't make a missionary, and like there's not like a sacred and secular difference, but all Christians are called to like know Jesus and make him known. And so but with that, I'm just going tell us about the trip, leaving. How did you get there? What did that part of it look like?
Was excited, but also like nervous because I've never been out of the country before. But I feel like mainly just excited, and like the Lord had like made it so evident to me that like he was going to be with me on this trip, and like I got to experience him in a different culture for the first time, and like just see truly that God is like the same God like in America that he is in Papua New Guinea, which was so cool. But the flight was like 3 days, so that was kind of insane. But it really was a good trip, and I had a team of 7 others with me, and 8, sorry, others with me, and so it made it way like, I don't know, less scary because it's not like you were doing it like alone, without other people. You were, had a whole nother group supporting you and stuff.
I guess locationally it's located near Australia, right? New Zealand.
Yep, right above Australia,
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
For all those geography experts.
Which I'm not.
We were talking about this yesterday. We were like talking about different things, like where they're located, and we realized that we're all really bad at maps and geography.
Oh, especially me. I didn't even know Papua New Guinea was a place until I heard the missionary talking for the first time. So it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you arrived there and like you're kind of like experiencing this new culture the first time ever, and I guess what would you say, like what are the people like in Papua New Guinea? What like type of foods do they have? Like, is the culture pretty warm? Is it pretty, what does that look like? What are people like?
Yeah. So our first experiences when we got off the plane, after traveling for 3 days. So we get off the plane and we took a 78-year-old, 76-year-old, one of those ages, missionary with us, who was a missionary in Papua New Guinea for like 3 years. I don't know, like 20 some years ago. And so she hadn't been there in like a long chunk of time. And she kept in touch with a bunch of like people who she had ministered to while being down there. And she started like a whole literacy school while she was down there. And so when we got off the plane, her people had like came to the airport and they walked to the airport the night before and slept like at the airport because they didn't know exactly when our flight was getting in. And so that was like our first experience, like experiencing like what Papua New Guinea culture is like. Just that they like have, I don't know, they just like respect you and they are such loving people and they're so friendly. And like it was crazy because we walked off and like they like get their phones out and want to take pictures of you. And it's like, this is like something like I've never had. Like you felt like you were a movie star, but really no one.
Paparazzi.
Like, exactly. But yeah, they all like wanted to come shake your hand and meet you. So that was like our first experience, and we were shocked because we had been traveling for 3 days, but it was just like the warmest like greeting that I've ever gotten, like going somewhere new, just like feeling like, wow, like they actually want us here and they are excited. But we definitely, had lots of different cultural experiences, I would say. As far as, we were in like 4 different locations while we were there. So I would say like every place had its like, differences between the country even.
Because there's a lot of different people groups within Papua New Guinea, right? Like tons and tons of different languages and... So like 800 different people groups and languages spoken, I think, in Papua New Guinea. So it's kind of crazy. And that's something that even like, I feel like set my heart on fire for Papua New Guinea is that the missionary who we met, he was translating Bibles in one of their languages. And I just like didn't realize how sad that is, like that people don't have Bibles in their language. Like, and so it all hit me. And then like, I don't know, it's kind of crazy thinking that like people don't have the Word of God like accessible to them, and like to think how many times like I take it for granted and stuff. So and I think someone said today there's still like 400 languages that still don't have like a Bible in their language. Was that right?
Something like that. I don't know the exact number, but it's still like, so a lot of Bible translators are there right now, trying to get Bibles into their languages and stuff. But they speak Pidgin there, so that's like their language that like a lot of them know, kind of ish, but like not even all of them know Pidgin. So obviously otherwise they would have Bibles in their language. But what does
religion look like there? Like, is there a history of like what beliefs kind of are the background? And
I'm not like, I know, but I'm not like 100% on this, and so like look it up if you guys are interested, right? But I think that Christianity is like the main religion, but then again, I think a lot of people can like claim to be Christians but not really know God, you know? And so and I think that is because of like, it used to be like a cannibal, like they would eat like other humans and stuff there, and so missionaries like heard about this and went in there to like try to teach them about Jesus, and so then a lot of missionaries went there, which caused Christianity to become like the number one religion there. But I don't think, they definitely like have like interesting views, and like here we, I don't know, would look at that as weird, but they worship nature more than like they worship creation more than the creator and stuff. And like and so it's just like, I feel like here in America we can look at that as like, how could you ever like worship creation, you know? But like we worship other things that are like I don't know.
Like we worship, sports or trying to get the perfect body or so like we all worship different idols and people, the food, like I don't know, did they have spicy food? Did they make you eat bugs?
The food there was good. The weirdest thing we probably ate while we were there was when we went to the Highlands. So that was our 3rd location while we were there, and this is where Dingy was a missionary at. So with her people, they like welcomed us there by doing this thing called a muumuu.
A muumuu? What's a muumuu?
Okay, so a moo is basically this thing where they dig a hole in the ground and they put rocks in the ground that are like heated by, I think they heat them on fire or something.
Yeah.
And so it's like an earth oven is what they call it, and they would cook whole pigs in there and stuff, and so that was, definitely an experience for sure.
Yeah.
And they would cook ferns in there, so just like ferns you'll find on the ground, and so we got to eat fern and pig together, which was, together it was a good combination, separately not as good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I said this already, I'll say it again, because I thought, you want to learn from people, and like, I feel like doing those things of eating the food and like, learning what they're like, it's like really builds a lot of trust. And so, I think it's cool. So that's something that my brother would do with us around the kitchen table would be he would ask us to say the poos of our day and the woos of our day. So poos and woos and highs and lows, roses and thorns. For you, what were some of the poos and woos of your trip?
Yeah. Good question. I'll start with the woos, actually. Woos are the good. Yeah. Okay, the good.
Wait, woos?
Woos?
Woos are good.
Woos
Poos
are good.
bad.
Okay, the woos, the good
Woos.
stuff. Okay, anyways, I think that some of my best experiences. So we were in Port Moresby, and that was our first location. We were at the Jetty base, which is like a YWAM base that we stayed at for the first week that we were there, just learning like the do's and don'ts of the culture and stuff. But while in our time there, we went out and did Bible distribution one day at a village called Maharu. And when we went to this village, I didn't know what to expect at all, but it was like better than anything I could imagine. And I think I just like love people so much that like getting to sit and chat with them and like share God with them was like super, like one of my favorite memories and highlights for sure. And so we were there for like 4 days in a row giving Bibles to the people, and just like realizing, like looking back, that that's like a whole village now that has like the word of God accessible to them like daily, and like before they didn't. And so, and then we were also like partnered with like a local church, and so now pointing them to like, you can have community and like PNG and like go to this local church and stuff, I thought was super cool. So that was one of my highlights there.
Woo woo.
Woo woo. One of my highlights in Fisherman's Island was, so we went to this guy's house named Kawara, and we were just praying for the sick this day. And when we went to his house, we didn't know what to expect. We walked in, and there's this guy sitting in the center of his house on this like mat, and like literally he's just like bones on a mat, but like because his like he's can't really eat much, and like basically he was paralyzed like 3 years prior to us coming there, so half of his body is like paralyzed, so he can't move or anything. And we walk in, and you could just sense like the presence of God more than like anything. Like I've never felt like that much just peace, and like it just felt like he had been praying in there for like years upon years or something. And so we got to hear his like testimony, and basically he felt like what God was telling him to do during this time is just to like be praying for others. And so that's what he spent like his past like however many years he's been like paralyzed doing, is just like praying for people. So it was so awesome, and we were able to like encourage him too, and like just the verse that's like whoever endures much on this earth like will have a reward great in heaven like came to my mind. And so I like prayed that over him basically, and he was moved to tears, but all of us who went into his house were also moved to tears. Like honestly, we all left the house just like crying, but it was because of like we were like, wow, God is moving in a big way in that.
That's really incredible. And thinking that he's praying for everyone in that area, and just it's powerful. And thinking about it for people listening, and for myself, like hypothetically, if I became paralyzed today, like would I be happy? Would I be okay with that? And like if you could never produce anything ever again, because he can't work anymore really. I mean, he's just in his house, and he had complete happiness, and I think God was really glorified through that. And I mean, it's interesting to think, if we had that same situation, what would happen?
It's so true, so true. And I think a lot of us like went home and reflected about it that night too, and definitely an eye-opening thing to experience though.
Yeah, love that.
Let's see.
What was poos and woos?
Another woo. So a poo from that location was definitely like the bathroom situation. Just I don't know. It was like the bathroom was 5-minute walk away from their house. So we were living with like a host family on Fisherman's Island. Leva and Kappa were their names. They were the sweetest couple ever. Definitely, just welcomed us and like let us use anything from their house. They slept downstairs and we slept like upstairs. Yeah, they were great. Anyways, so bathroom 5 minutes away from the house, and that's a walk. And like the kids in Fisherman's Island and like anywhere in Papua New Guinea just like love you. Like if they see you, they're gonna like be your best friend, hold your hand, want to take pictures with you, all the things. And so we were going to the bathroom and like you would walk out to go to the bathroom and the little kids would just like follow you and like you're like, no, please don't come with, I gotta go. And the bathrooms there were just like cockroach infested and stuff, so it definitely made for some interesting nights and days and all of that. But it was great. It honestly made for lots of laughs, I feel like, more than anything.
Do you kind of like look back and those funny moments? That's funny. When you think of high moments, low moments, I'm sure you had a lot of things that were just you're away from your family kind of the first time in your life.
And we didn't have like access to like cell service a lot of the time, so I like wasn't in communication with family back home or friends or anything, which coming back to America and like having my phone again has been like definitely interesting because I'm just like, I could have left that there. Me and one of the boys who came with on the trip, when we like landed, all these texts and notifications started coming through and we're like, can we just throw our phones out the plane window? But I think it's just finding like balance again with like having a phone again. But it definitely made for like a hard, because our leaders would hotspot our phones sometimes, so we like could communicate with family once a week, if that. And then for 3 weeks, we didn't have like any access. They didn't have access to any cell service or anything. So during those 3 weeks is like, it's probably one of the lowest times, just because ministry wasn't looking how I thought it was going to look in this location, and I felt like we were like being served more than actually getting to like help the people and stuff. But God's like totally like transforming my mind on that even and stuff, so that's been cool. But during that week those 3 weeks I didn't have access to my phone at all, and so, which I didn't really before, but I still knew like if I need it, like I can ask the leaders for a hotspot, and during those 3 weeks I didn't have that option even, and so just I felt like I didn't have my family, but like I grew so much in my relationship with God those 3 weeks, and just realizing that like, instead of turning to like family when I would want support from them, like God's there and he can support me during those times when I feel lonely. So that was definitely a growing experience. I feel like any of my lows I had, I just looked back at them as like growing opportunities and times to reshape my focus in some way.
That's awesome.
For the Highlands location, so when we were in Kamaka, definitely a highlight was we got to help in the school system while we were there, and like just seeing all the little kids, and like it was so happy, and then like getting to share like our stories about how Jesus like has impacted our lives when we were like their age and stuff, like just seeing like how they like really like soaked it all in and would come find us after school and like want to just sit and chat with us. And I got to like become a mentor to one of the little girls there during our like season while we were there, which was so cool. Her name was Laka Joy. She was definitely like a gift from God, I feel like.
And you guys grew pretty close?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And I actually have her contact, so we're still like in touch now that I've gotten home. And just seeing how like God, lined that up, because our leaders who took us on our trip, the outreach leaders, encouraged us to like just keep our eyes open for ways that God's like speaking to you, and see if you can like find anyone to like reach out to. And so that night after they said that, I was just sitting there like, God, like who do you want me to like reach out to during the season? And like literally she was just like sitting there and highlighted to me, and so I went over after like the service was over, and I was like, hey, like how are you doing, like can I be praying for you? And she was just like, I've never had a friend like this. She's like, you don't know like how much this has meant to me, and like my relationship with God isn't great, and like you're really encouraging me to like dig into that. So it was like so cool, and she wanted to like, they always are like, come sit and like tell stories with us. So she always wanted me to come sit and tell stories with them. Trying to think what else. Another high I think would be so my name in Papua New Guinea meant bird, which this is kind of a side story, but it's kind of cool just like how God works in like crazy ways. So our verse back at like the YWAM base in Oregon when we were doing our training, the like theme was Isaiah 40:31, like those who wait upon the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar with
like wings like eagles.
They will run and not grow weary. That verse. And so it was like birds was the like DTS theme, like soaring with purpose was our theme. And then during DTS, my faith was like shaken. Like I just felt like everything like that I knew was like stripped from me, but I grew so much in my relationship with God and like really made my faith my own. And so then when I got to P&G, they're like, your name means bird. And I was like, no way, like this is so cool. And I was sitting and just reflecting on it one night, and I seen a bird like fly overhead, and I was like, wow, God, like I'm here in Papua New Guinea and I'm finally like soaring with purpose. And so that was really cool, just that, my name meant bird in their language, I guess. But
it sounds like it was a lot of like confirming too in your life. You're like, oh, I'm not sure like if this is kind of where I should be at, or I don't know if you felt that at all, but like it sounds like eventually it kind of made sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. I guess woo, another woo. No, poo is the bad one.
Oh yeah.
Okay, poo. I fell out of a hammock while I was there, so that was quite the experience. I was like 9 feet above, because we had it on our porch.
High.
Yeah, it was high, and it was rubbing on metal, and so the strap like broke, and I fell straight on my back, and like wind knocked out of me. I think I blacked out for a bit.
Oh no.
Like it was kind of intense, and they didn't want it. Like they wanted to take me to the hospital, but I'm like, no, I'm strong. Like I don't need to. But I was like in so much pain for like a whole week while I was there. But it was really cool because God like made me realize I need to like slow down, and it's not about what I do for Him. Like no matter if I'm like serving or whatever, like I'm already. He already like has paid it all, and I don't have to like work for His favor or anything. Which I wouldn't have experienced. And I just gotta like sit and really like be intentional with people, because I couldn't do like the skit that we normally perform for them. So I just had to watch my team, but I gotta sit and like just meet random ladies and men who I wouldn't have had the chance to like get to know
if you didn't fall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was a good experience, bad experience, but ended up being like a blessing in disguise, I think.
I mean, I think that's a huge lesson when it comes to like, serving, is like learning that like, okay, like I don't need to do this. And I mean, I think resting in that, like God's smiling down on you, not because of anything you did, but because of what Jesus did. And so I think that's a huge lesson that sometimes you have to fall out of a hammock to learn.
To learn it the hard way.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah, any other woos?
And so our fourth location and our final location, we were at, it was a village called Garrica, and we were at like the ministry that we stayed at was I Care For You, and this is basically like a women's help group, because ladies there, if they have HIV and AIDS, they're treated as outcasts in their culture, because they think that they're going to get like their disease, but it's not transmitted like that. There's just a lot of like misunderstood information about it. So this is just a ministry encouraging people to come, ladies like that to come, and we were able to like do like a hope group for them and just like be there for them. Like normally no one like hugs them or anything, and so just like having like showing them like, you know, like God loves you, and like even though like people aren't showing you that, like we were able to like just love on them for a whole day and like listen to them as they like each shared their testimonies, very crazy testimonies of like and some of them didn't know Jesus and stuff.
What was one of the funniest moments that comes to mind when you think of Papua New Guinea?
Probably just like we would have to sing in front of churches sometimes, and I'm not a good singer at all. Don't know notes or anything. But so one Sunday we were splitting up for like churches, and so it was me, Daniela, and she was one of my best friends on the trip, Micah, which is our leader, and then Daniel was supposed to come too. And us three girls who were going, Micah, me, and Daniela, were like, none of us were good singers. And then Daniel, he has this most amazing voice. He like is lead worship at his church sometimes and stuff, plays guitar, and so like that's why they put him on our like church team whatever that Sunday. And so he ended up getting sick, and so it was just three of us girls who went, and we sang in front of the church, and we were like, I think that went okay, like we did pretty good. But Dindy was with us, the missionary grandma who we took, and she recorded it, and we went back and watched the recording later, and it was like the worst thing that I've ever listened to. No. But it was humbling, but also like very funny, just because like the people were so happy that we were there. They didn't care how we sounded. Like we shared testimonies and stuff, so it wasn't like they cared how we sounded, but it was definitely embarrassing looking back, but funny.
No, I think I can identify with that.
Yeah.
That's, hearing your own voice. And okay, so like looking forward, you know, like what happens now? Like what are some of the ways that this has changed you and the way you view things, and like moving forward, what's that look like? And
Yeah, I feel like it's changed me a ton, and like even just the like DTS part of it, portion of our trip, or the lecture phase portion of our trip, reshaped like my entire faith and like made me question like just so many things that I've never questioned before. And then afterwards, I was just sitting and reflecting one day, and I was just like, yeah, I'm leaving like this school knowing like there's no question in my mind like God is real, and like He is a God worth serving, and like He's worth like living for and dying for.
Really enjoyed hearing about your experience in PNG. I know people found it helpful. And so, yeah, we met through this group called Learn and Discern. We have Amber in our presence. She leads the group of Learn and Discern, but I guess a quick 20-second promo, 30-second elevator pitch. How do I join a Learn and Discern? What is Learn and Discern?
So Learn and Discern is a group through Harvest Call, and it is offered to anyone who wants to learn more about missions, and that could be like locally getting plugged in more, that could be internationally. It's just an opportunity to meet through Zoom, and so you get connected with all sorts of really cool people from all over the place, and you get to be a part of their journey. So we share updates, and then we also walk through different topics. So if you're interested or would like to know more, you can reach out to me at amiller@harvestcall.org. And so, yeah, I'd love to hear from you.
Right. And that's how you trust God, bro.